Greetings, dear, precious, magnificent spirit soul that you are, right there where you are. All is possible to you. This is the greatest work. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe into your heart. Right there where you are. The mind-driven person can never have enough. When you are enough, you'd be more than enough. That's who you are. The mind-driven person can never have enough because the mind is always telling you you're not good enough. Always reminding you of how stupid you are, how you have to compete, how you have to put down somebody else, or somebody's trying to take what you've got. It's always this state of anxiety. People say, well, you have to have a mind. Well, who told you that? That's somebody writing psychology books. That's somebody writing books and talking about it. Are you out of your mind? Well, of course I'm out of my mind. But the mind, it's like, it's a delicate situation because when you trust your heart, and they did a study with children one time and little short peoples, and they had something wonderful that they gave them that they wanted. I don't know what it was, something delicious to eat or whatever. And they immediately wanted to share it with one of their friends until their parents, or till they remembered their parents saying, don't share your stuff with others. Don't give that to them. I remember I was in New York one time with my granddaughter, Erin Rose, and we were at this restaurant, kind of in a I think it was in a store. I forgot the name of this big restaurant, and their tables were really close together. The little people next to us was a father and a daughter, and the daughter had food left. She said, "Can I take this home and share with my friends?" "Oh, we don't do that. We don't do that. Like that's beyond below us. We don't go and take food home and share it with. Let's leave it here." And it's like, oh, that's interesting. That kind of a mindset. The child naturally wanted to give. But the parents told him, don't give or you won't have anything. Don't share that. Shut down, close off. And we get trained to live in the mind, to believe thoughts, to limit ourselves, to define ourselves, to live by definitions. And once you realize that, have real eyes, real perception, you take your power back from where you've been giving it. The powers of manifestation, creation, and such. And what happens with artificial intelligence, AI, they call it, and is made of IT, information technology, okay? All of this information technology is used to confine you, to control you through your own mind that believes beyond a shadow of a doubt that what you've been taught and told is true, when basically it's false. But when you're living by a lie, everything that person does is a lie, and it's depowering to them and to anyone else because it's not operating from the divine system, because you are all powerful, all knowing, and everywhere present, because you are part of the divine, the source of all that is. And therefore, anyone that has captured you within a net, it's called an internet, it nets you from within, and it is a weapon where people are on a thing like this, they call their iPhone like this, with their head bent, stopping the flow of blood to the brain, the top, keeping it stuck in what is called the reptilian brain. But it's even more than a reptilian brain. It's an insect brain that, what may I say, that operates by a hive mentality, getting the collective to all go in the same direction at the same time, with the same beliefs, with the same energy flow. And what happens whenever the false takes over, it wants to eliminate truth, because truth, absolute truth, eliminates the false. And when we're consumed with the false, we live in fear and anxiety, always for the loss. What's going to happen to me? What am I going to lose? What am I going to gain? How can I do this? How can I do that? When you live by your inner guide, and this is an interesting thing about it, what I've noticed, because you notice how it is, we tend to want to be in time. How long is it going to take? How much time do I have left? And then people say, well, at the end of your time, at the end of your life. We don't have an end to who we are. So there is no end to suffering as long as the person is believing their thoughts, believing the program that has been instituted in them through public education. I sent my girls, my daughters, to private school only because in those early days where it was so important, I wanted them to be able to actually have a really good grasp on what is used in this world of language and such, to actually, empower them, but not limit them by the world control system that keeps everybody going along to get along with a false doctrination of a false documents, you might say, documents, put you in a dock like cement and keeps people in a specific control system where there are no surprises. And what happens is it also happens where that control structure that operates through the mind, which is an artificial, because you have divine consciousness that is not segmented into subconscious, unconscious, conscious, and all of this. This is for those medical books, those psychiatric books, where instead of just working with people at the level of their knowingness, let's drug them up and keep them addicted to drugs that if they ever give up, they'll be miserable because they have to depend, isn't that interesting, on those artificial stimulations and control that keep people like the blob all moving together in the same way, in the same, with the same tune and the same step and the same dance and the same words and the same reality and blah, 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 blah. So you've got television, and that's not your vision, but it's telling you a vision to have, to believe, to accept. Why? Because you're all powerful. And when you know who you are, you own your power in every moment. And when they say AI, artificial intelligence, what does it mean? It's artificial. But yet it's an overlay. And when you live in the mind, then you're given all of these limitations that are programmed in through public education. Education. And that education then documents you as an item or a blip on a computer screen when you are the living force and energy that is manifesting this reality overlay over the original reality of who you really are. And I have seen my original body. So I know you have one also. And I know it's beautiful. And I know that you're unlimited because I am unlimited myself. And yet the mind, it always wants to limit me, always wants to categorize me, always wants me to judge, always wants me to be afraid, always wants me to limit myself and not trust my own divine knowing. So this is the work we all need to do, is to take back our powers that we're so freely giving to anybody or anything or any this or that or so-called government or celebrity or control or sports figure or all of this, when it's a great big phantasmagoria that we're all agreeing to and all participating in and go along to get along and to be accepted and be who we are. When who you are is awesome. Don't let it go to your head. Well, I'm big and great and they're not. No. Hey, this is what it's all about. And when you know who you are and you trust your own knowing, all things are possible to you and always have been. And yet what we do is people fight for their limitations. People argue for their limitations. People argue for what they have been taught to believe and to know is true, and then limited by movies and videos and news and all of these inputs that are coming in and programming people and putting them in reality boxes, putting them in this box and that box and this box, and it's boxed in consciousness. And thinking, you can't think out of the box because thinking makes reality boxes. Knowing is who you are. And when you know who you are, all is possible to you. Now that's my work, for you to know and be who you fully are. And when you do that, then you bring forth all of your powers and your abilities, and your world becomes a divine world. You don't have to go along to get along. You don't have to be a lemming all going together off the cliff. You don't have to take on that consciousness that you were educated to believe in school, where you get an A for going along to get along, and you get an F because you know who you are. Well, we can't have that. We can't have a dissident out there. No, because they're a troublemaker. Okay? And then a troublemaker is always an enlightened soul. And what does enlightened mean? Even that word to light up, then you got light and dark. But to me, it means full of self-awareness, self-knowledge, self-empowerment. And so the key then is this what I'm teaching and sharing, because I use it myself. And I have been a relentless researcher since I was about, in this world, 17. Because I wanted to, well, how do I manifest my life and what I want instead of living in fear or being like others and in that controlled situation? So that makes you then a threat to the organized religion, to the organized psychology, psychiatry, to the organized belief systems, to what's accepted in textbooks. Who's writing your text? It's the people with the money who actually control the system through the money and through people's consciousness being afraid of death or pain or struggle or not being liked or not being appreciated. My work is the full liberation of every single living entity. And when you do that, don't wait for everybody else to get it. You get it, and then you live it, and you are. Now, I want you to know, my counseling and work, and I don't do coaching because I'm not a sports coach. That's not a good thing. I'm not a singing coach. I had singing teachers, not coaches. I had the maestro David Kyle of Seattle. Oh, awesome voice teacher. Awesome. Great soul, so fortunate. So we have great teachers out there, great souls and great people who are liberated and expert at what they do to help you and I bring out the fullness, the talents, the abilities, the lifestyle that each of us desires. You do not have to go along to get along. You do not have to be in a system of a prison system where you are a prisoner of a computer screen and that's where you live and that's what you do and who you are will make it even easier. You could take it with you. So you're never away from the programs, the institutions. You are a liberated soul. That's why nature is so important for each and every one of us. To be in harmony with your own divine nature and feel it in the presence around you of the beauty and the goodness and the integrity of nature. To restore yourself to the fullness of your own power and ability, and taking off those shoes as we get used to it now in the warmer weather, and meditating in nature and taking your power back. So know that you can email me, set up appointment on the phone, and I do that by love offering, because I don't want anyone to say I can't afford to get help because nobody will help me. I don't do that. And yet I do have certain courses that I request a certain amount, but I'm not fixed on it, because we also are all playing the money game because we're locked into it, but not as a way that you value yourself, but as a way that you are able to, which you are through your own consciousness, maintain and have the lifestyle that helps you to bring out the fullness of your divine self and all your talents and all of your abilities and all of the freedom of who you really are as a divine being that is never born and never dies. All of this is appearance. And when you take back your power, all is possible to you, my darling. So contact me, Terry at terrycolewhittaker.com. It's an email. I'm there to answer your questions and to support you in attaining and being all that is possible for you now, because now is when you need to do it, because all there is now. This profound moment of your own awareness and knowing, my darling. Be you to the full.